ABC24 This Week starts right now.
Hello, and thank you for joining us on ABC24 This Week. I am your host, Pepper Baker. You are here for the real stories behind the big stories, and I hope you'll continue to join us every Sunday at 9 a.m., 10:35 p.m., or by streaming 24+. All right, let's see who is at the table today. As always, ABC24 political analyst Otis Sanford. We have Sam Hardiman with the Daily Memphian, and we have Luke Simbel, a Republican strategist for Shelby County. Thank you all so much for being here.
Thank you
for having us.
All right, let's get to the topics first. Data centers. We are getting into how the Memphis City Council and Tennessee Valley Authority are regulating these billionaire-owned computing giants. And then secondly, the tragic death of a 6-year-old girl with autism who was left on a hot school bus at a Cordova daycare. And lastly, a demonstration is planned for Monday's Shelby County Commission meeting to demand an end to the Oversight Board lawsuit. And we'll also take a look at Shelby County Mayor-elect Mikkel Lowry's transition team. But let's get back to number one. The focus around data centers in Memphis is shifting a little bit from location to regulation. Now, the Memphis City Council passed the first reading of a proposal that would temporarily ban approving permits for a new data center or for new data centers and large computing facilities. On Thursday, the Tennessee Valley Authority approved the implementation of a new utility rate class specific to the region's data centers. Councilman J.B. Smiley, who co-sponsored the moratorium at City Council, made an interesting point during Tuesday's meeting.
SpaceX leases facility to Anthropic for $1.2 billion a month. At some time, our community has to say, you're not going to keep playing with us and giving us the bare minimum. At some point, Memphis deserves our just due.
Now, the Greater Memphis Chamber is not on board with the City Council's vote on a temporary pause. A statement released this week says Memphis is uniquely positioned to lead the nation in hosting the data center industry. It added, quote, "The better path is not to close the door, it is to stay at the table and negotiate harder." All right, Sam, normally I start off with you, Otis, but Sam is our XAI guy.
Yes, he is.
So how does this change the game for data centers? Does it make it harder for companies to develop in this region?
Which one? Moratorium or the...
I want to say both. And.
Okay, yeah, so I would say the moratorium, we're talking about a bill that just was on first reading. And who's to say that that's the bill that's actually going to pass? And so I don't know if it makes it harder. I would certainly, if I'm a developer, be thinking because, you know, I don't move at the speed of light. The second thing is the Tennessee Valley Authority looks like a really interesting proposal that has passed now, which is going to make it harder to build data centers because you can't build it on spec now. You're going to essentially have to come up with serious amounts of capital. Luke just provided me with an interesting figure. It's going to be $1.52 million per megawatt in a non-refundable fee over 5 megawatts. So that means if you're coming in with a $300 megawatt data center, you got to pay $450 million up front. That means you have to have deep pockets. But as Councilman Smiley said, these companies do have deep pockets. Right. So like they can afford very clearly, as TVA is going to start charging them, to pay for the infrastructure that they need to generate the giant revenues that they get out of being able to provide compute to other people. That's certainly the case. However, TVA's got to release the data. It's got to show us the actual rate class. They haven't done that yet. The TVA board voted, approved it. No one saw what they were voting on. Memphis City Council doesn't do that.
Mm-hmm. Now, you have followed like utility bills with XAI particularly.
Yes.
So from my understanding, the 10% rate increase will happen over 3 years.
Yes.
So what do they pay now, and then could they be paying more?
Yeah, they could be paying a lot more now. Right now they're in what is the manufacturing rate class, so they're being treated like Electrolux was before then, essentially. I mean, they are in the Electrolux building. I mean, that's just, there is no rate class within the Tennessee Valley Authority until it starts on October 1st for data centers. Previously, no one was thinking about, hey, these giant servers that we're putting in factories, because that's really where like all the GDP growth in our country is coming from right now, is this stuff, if you really think about it. And so like no one was thinking about that before, and now they're like, oh, we need to charge you more because you only really consume electricity. There aren't a ton of jobs. There are really high paying jobs that are associated with this. I don't want to poo-poo that, but it's not a ton of jobs. The real value to communities, and you see it in Memphis very clearly in property tax revenue. They're the largest taxpayer in Memphis.
All right.
Full stop. Will be this year. All right, they are going to be the biggest new thing on the city's financial documents in terms of taxpayer in a long time. Mm-hmm. And like that's a real thing. And so that's the benefit to communities. And so yeah, they should be It's utilities.
Yeah. Otis, will that temporary pause that City Council voted on survive 2 more readings? And what are the legal concerns here?
Well, the legal concerns is, and I think one of the council members raised it, was that they're not sure that it is legal. And that may take a court decision to decide that. But whether it'll survive, who knows at this point? I do think it was beneficial to pass it on from the first reading. This is just sort of pro forma. City councils have in the past have moved legislation or ordinances this way just to keep the conversation going. And then we'll see what happens after the second reading. Yep. It's the third reading that's really going to tell the story here because that's where the robust debate will happen. And minds will have to be made up by then to whether you're going to vote for it or not. We'll see. That's farther down the road.
And what the document looks like by then, too.
Right.
What the document was put online on Tuesday is not going to be the document we see in 4 weeks.
Absolutely.
Someone should just take the one now, get the one in 4 weeks, put it to Claude, see what you see.
And see what. Right. See what happens.
Center to tell
Yeah, exactly.
Use your local resources.
Luke, so the chamber's response here, they came out the gate saying this is wrong, and we already read off of it. But does it have merit to you here? Is there an obstacle of economic growth if this moratorium passes?
Well, of course, when you have a moratorium and you don't allow that innovation or that building, yeah, there's going to be an economic impact. And like you said, XAI is the largest property taxpayer here in Shelby County. I have a couple figures here. $12 million in 2025. They're expected to pay a total of $35 million in 26 and 27. In 1 year, their property tax is expected to jump $10 million, which is the almost identical amount to the increase in the cost of the city's pension plans. So what they are contributing,
this is just what I wrote.
Thank you. Thank you for providing.
But that is from TVA.
Yeah, and so I think, like you said, it is important to note the taxes that they're paying. And data centers are a necessary evil, or just necessary. I'm using my phone here today. If you have a smartphone, you need to have a data center behind it. And
many data centers.
Yeah, and I think the way that XAI is doing it here locally, I really believe is the right way to do it. They are in an industrial park. We have to have conversations about where these data centers should be. Do we want them butted up against residential development? Probably not. I think it's perfectly fine for local communities to say, no, we don't want them near homes. We need them in industrial parks.
But they are near homes in South Haven.
In South Haven, that's right.
Electrolux, well away from homes. But in South Haven, their power plant has really transformed the way of life in the neighborhood south of them. Has really changed it. You can hear it from the neighborhood. You can hear it from the South Haven City Park because their power plant is right there. And so there needs to be a conversation. There's a lawsuit over it, but there needs to be a conversation about what happens for those homeowners? Because their property values are probably not the same.
Sure. Right. Sure. And 2 other quick points here, as it relates to what the TVA did. I think they made the right decision here, based on the fact that you don't want multi-billionaires, and especially in Elon Musk's case, a trillionaire, richest man in the world, having his operations subsidized by regular ratepayers. So I think what the TVA is doing there is absolutely spot on. And so
XAI supports this. They sent a fact sheet to the Memphis City Council that said they supported this.
And that's a good thing. And so that actually, to me, is a bigger development than right now what the moratorium has to do.
One more thing. Before we just came on, SpaceXAI, Memphis' account, which has started to tweet all of a sudden, or post, whatever they do, they've started to do it recently in the past couple of weeks. They said that they are going to be interested in hooking up their batteries, which is a multi-gigawatt installation of Tesla Megapacks at their facilities here, to the broader grid.
Yep.
That is a thing that right now, MLG&W is struggling to scale 125 megawatts. Not struggling because they can't do it, but because government takes a while. This company's already got several gigawatts, most likely, of batteries here. And so it's not going to be for everyone's use all the time. The devil is really going to be in the details, which are public record. But seriously, that's a real thing, and that's very interesting for the broader grid.
One more very, very quick point here having to do with the tax revenue, and you are absolutely right on that. They are going to be paying a ton of money in tax revenue that'll help the city. But to Luke's point, we're not seeing a whole lot of jobs here. and so they're the kinds of jobs that I don't see a lot of Memphians standing in line to get. So let's put it in perspective here. The tax revenue is great.
That come to supply the data center, chip companies, and other things that have already committed to come into the area.
Well,
I mean, there are lots of blue collar jobs, wiring these facilities that do pay a lot of money. That if you're looking for work, you can find it. It's a matter of, do you want to do it?
Well, I just hope we don't have anti-DEI that pops up that keeps.
Well, I'm not really seeing many other large-scale projects popping up in Shelby County at this point, so I think we would be happy to take all the business we can get.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. It's so funny how this conversation shifted in 2025 to now. Like, they're here, and now it's like, how are we going to coexist?
Oh, yeah.
It's very interesting.
Yeah.
All right, when we come back, we have a slightly more sad note about a 6-year-old girl who died in Cordova at a daycare. We'll talk about the details and if charges will be pressed. Stay with us.